Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of Straight Up Show Podcast. I am your host, Calvin, joined by my lovely host, Christina, my handsome host, Brandon, and the oh so ever talented Lee. How y'all doing today?
Good.
I'm good.
I missed y'all.
Nothing. It has been a while since what? Beginning? Like
I think it was Thanksgiving episode. Yeah, Thanksgiving. Yeah,
episode.
wow.
Oh my gosh, was it?
Yeah, wow.
Lord.
No, y'all don't love me no more, you know?
Nope.
Jeez.
That being said, dude, that still feels fresh to me. I feel like we just did the Thanksgiving episode.
I know this has been a long season. But it's been a great season, and we've had some laughs, we had some tears, we've had some up and downs in this season, but it has been a phenomenal season 5. We're coming close to an end, and guess what, y'all? I want to say Happy Black History Month. Today is the first day of Black History Month. Worldwide. It's not celebrated just in America, but it is worldwide. So happy Black History Month, y'all.
Yeah, it is February, and it's the 1 month where we talk about this type of stuff.
Just 1 month.
That's all I got.
Not only is it the shortest, it's the most difficult to pronounce.
The shortest month too. Yeah.
February.
February.
Yeah, he said it
we
wrong.
share it with Valentine's Day.
February. It's February.
No, it's
February. February.
They could have given us all the other ones. They're like,
and speaking of Black History Month, the NAACP's motto is "A mind is a terrible thing to waste." So, for February is the month of Black. I'm just messing with y'all.
I'm about to say, Ray, is it?
It is.
I was like, that's from the NAACP.
It is. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. Yeah, that is. That's what it is. Yeah, see y'all. See, look,
I'm them down.
So y'all already messing up on Black history already.
See, this is why I didn't want to. Okay.
Yeah. Jeez, man.
Early disclaimer. I didn't want to do this because when it comes to Black History Month, I'm like, there's the basic ones that I think of, which I think all of us was like, you know what? Let's make sure we don't do the furthest, like the closest.
The rule is you're not allowed to do any of them that you learned about in school. That's the unspoken new rule.
Right.
Although I did have the idea of tracking down my 5th grade report on George Washington Carver, but couldn't find it in time, unfortunately.
I would have been so impressed if you could.
And see, I just watched the Proud Family for that. I'm sorry. That's how terrible I am.
We're kind of in that renaissance now where, I mean, a lot of people are learning about like Black history through TV.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was stuff in what was it, Watchmen recently, that a lot of people like myself were like, oh, this massive historical event happened. I never heard about it in school. And it wasn't a great event, so there are reasons why you didn't hear about it in school, but probably should have.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel bad because I didn't know about the Tulsa riots in school. I didn't learn that until after school. I mean, honestly, I didn't know about it until the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa riots, which is crazy because, and we're going to talk about education in school when it comes to Black history, but because some people are trying to hide that from us right now, and that's one of the main issues that we're having right now, especially with the critical race theories in school, which I've lost my best friend over that right now. But neither here or there. That's a little personal issue. I'll wipe my tears away. I'm crusty right now, but wipe my tears away.
No. Okay, I'm about to say.
A little crusty right now, but it is. I don't know what it is. But anyway, so this is Black History Month, and like Lee said, that there's so much that we don't know. So we're gonna do things a little different here, because when it comes to Black History Month, it's always about like the Harriet Tubmans, the Kunta Kintes or the MLKs, in which we don't ever want to take away what they mean to not only the world but to American history as well. We would never take care of that, but we're a little younger, so a lot of our experiences we can't really relate to those, and we can because we see the benefit of their hard work and their sacrifice. So if you're watching us right now on Facebook Live, we want you to be a part of our show as usual. Leave us a comment. Tell us what are some of your famous Black figures that you inspire, that has inspired you, sorry, and what does Black history mean to you? So make sure you post that in our comment section, and we will read your comments as real live right now. So with that being said, let me start with Brandon. What do you think is Black history? Can you tell me, what do you think is Black history?
What I think, let me, I guess the best thing I can say is what I feel Black History Month is. Wait, Black History Month or Black History?
The month.
Okay, so for me, the Black History Month is it's us making like just putting a month on, reminding people, hey, don't forget to learn about our history because you may not be learning it throughout the history. So it's like a constant reminder every year. Hey, don't forget. Uh, we have this history that you probably didn't learn, and sadly, probably that's about the same people every year. You just hear you just same reminder. So hopefully, and I'm glad we're doing this once again, so we can add more characters that you can probably look into, do some research. And I also have a challenge for everybody at the end of the show that for you this month. So hopefully you can do and just prepare so you can get out of this constant loop.
Yeah, and that's a lot to think about. You're totally right. Lee, what do you think that Black History Month is?
It's I mean, it kind of says it in the name. It's a time to celebrate Black history and a time to reminisce about, I mean, like the kind of stuff we just mentioned at the top of the show. Like, I didn't know there was a black stock market. Uh just realizing that the world is so much bigger than you are, and that's coming, from me, a white person, but at the same time, as like a queer person, you can also see the shades of like, oh, I've felt suffering because of who I am. These people have also felt suffering because who they are. So you can put yourself in their shoes, and like, like we were talking about, we're not just looking at the big historical figures. We're looking for that personal connection, and I'm looking forward to seeing what who you guys picked, because my personal connection, it means a lot to me, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys and who the people listening also, who inspire them.
Yeah, and that's kind of the challenge I gave to the. I kind of gave them homework. So we've been prepping for this show for about a week or two, and because I know that, especially with critical race theory going on, this is very, very personal. That we make sure that we uplift. And for the first time ever, I think the more people are trying to denounce our history in America, the more that I feel excited that we can be celebrated. Like MLK Day, I'm like, wow, this is a great day, and it's a great day because that's a day when Betty White's birthday that we celebrate. So it's kind of like there's so much love and everything that's surrounding just anything with us being in America and the whole value. And Christina, I'm gonna go to you next because I think Christina has given the best soundbite on this show's history from TV to wherever. She's given a soundbite. I'm gonna play it at the end of the show, but it really it's something that I will forever stick to about freedom. But Christina, can you tell us in your own words, what do you think Black history is?
Black history for me is it's something that's harder to talk about for us. Like, I was listening to everyone's answers, but Lee's in particular kind of made me think, I'm knocking everything over. Lee said, he's finding things out, and he's like, I didn't know. And in my head, I appreciate those answers too, but I'm like, you didn't know because it was so hidden. So Black history for me is uncovering what real American history is. So the month itself annoys me that we have to always narrow ourselves down to 28 days of discussion, because these are things that should be common knowledge, not even the dramatic horrible parts of it. I was like, these are things that were intentionally withheld that you should have grown up knowing about. The inventors alone, just the fun parts of our history should have been known. How many people don't know Black inventors and scientists and just designers and things in general that you have poured into you your entire life. You learn about all races, but our history in particular has been so buried. So Black history is uncovering our truths and our ancestors' truths and kind of taking claim of who we are. You know, you don't have to always agree with it. You don't have to like how it's being shown about or whatever. But I was like, it's for me, it's our right to be heard and seen by other people. You know, it's just it's important for a reason to me, you know. And it's not just, oh, we're gonna learn about Madam C.J. Walker this month. We're gonna learn about Martin Luther. I'm like, we knew. We knew about the slaves. We knew about these figures, but these are things that should have already been told. So it's us trying to fix what was wronged. Yeah. So that's in a nutshell how I kind of feel about what Black history is. It's righting the wrongs and bringing things to the light that should have always been known. Like at this point, we're about to have to revamp every history book, every school book, every history book. We might as well start an entire. Well, no, there already are courses on Black history, but you have to be in college studying Black history to get it. But
Right.
yeah, that's my answer. Sorry, I'm that
Damn it.
person all the time.
And don't teach our kids about civil rights at all, because that's just horrible. And speaking of, like, you know, history, like, you know, I'm an avid person that likes to watch wrestling. Hence the T-shirt, which is available right now at straightupshowpodcast.com. That's STR8 upshowpodcast.com. Plug. So, you know, and I posted this thing. What really disturbed me, right? And I was just, because I really don't watch much TV, but I was watching wrestling this day, and y'all can tell me what was wrong with this. And they said, hello and welcome to Monday Night Raw. Happy MLK Day, live from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Lee's face says it all. So I put that on our Straight Up Show podcast TikTok, right? And it has like almost 70 views right now. But the comment section was like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. What does it mean? What does it mean? And like, of course, the people of color knew what it meant, but it was just so many people saying that they don't know what it meant. They don't get it. They don't get it. Like, and Lee, since you're making that face right now, can you tell people what was wrong with that comment?
Well, sadly, that probably would have been me like 5 to 10 years ago, because that it's so messed up. Because it's like, I guess that's a white people thing. It's not part of our culture, so it's not part of our upbringing. So of course that's not important. That doesn't need to occupy our brain space. But no, it really should, because it has a lot of impact on a lot of people.
Yeah, but the face you made kind of said it all. Like, you got it. You got what I was saying. And my response to the whole thing was like, no. And they got 70,000 views on it because it was like, wait, what? Did y'all not, your producer not tell you that maybe you know what I mean? Just not today.
Never underestimate the ignorance of white people.
I didn't say it.
We will always surprise you.
And but the thing is, it was crazy because just like social media, there were trolls. There were like, that was 100 years ago. Give it up, like, or you're race baiting. And I'm like, eesh.
Years ain't that long, folks. I hate to tell you.
I was like, Betty White literally just turned
100, right?
Seriously,
when there's still people who are alive.
Yeah, and you know,
it's not that long ago.
Exactly. And my thing is that a lot of people, or you know, even with producing this episode, I'm not calling anybody out, but even trying to get resources for this episode, and like say, some people were hesitant and didn't want to speak on it, and would kind of say it's not my lane, and I respect that, you know. But it was kind of like, wow, anything else you're gun ho for it, but this, no. But so this is kind of episode we're going to have today. And before we go, I want to clarify what Black History Month is. The history of Black History Month, basically, Black History Month was created in 1926. Originally, when historian Carter G. Woodson, somebody I just now found out about, and the Association of the Study of Negro Life and History announced the second week of February to be Negro History Week. This was chosen because it coincided with the birthday of Abraham Lincoln on February 12th, and that of Frederick Douglass, February 14th, who has an iconic haircut, by the way. Which both dates Black communities have celebrated together since the 19th century. Later on, back in 1987, sorry, my bad, I lied, 1970, it was proposed that by Black educators and Black United students at Kent State University, the first celebration of Black History Month took place at Kent State a year later on January 2nd to February 28, 1970. So on February 20, so basically 6 years later, Black History Month was being celebrated all across the country with educational institutions, centers of Black culture, community centers, both great and small, when President Gerald Ford recognized Black History Month in 1976 during the celebration of the United States bicentennial. So he said that Americans should seize the opportunity to honor too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. So we want to make sure that we keep this going, whether it be Black clubs, white clubs. We want to make sure that we are recognized through the progression of Black Americans, not only in our country, but all across the world as well. And so that's pretty much what it is. What Black history is, and we're going to celebrate Black history today on the Straight Up Show podcast. We have a lot more. Make sure you stay tuned on the other side of the break.
Summer is approaching, that season where most friends and family travel, have family reunions, and enjoy that family vacation you've had over a year to plan. If you haven't had your vaccinations yet, there's still time. You might think you're fine now, but the reality is you're not. There's still contagious variants out there, and some states and cities are still behind on getting vaccinated. Don't ruin your family vacation by worrying about traveling in a hotspot. And don't be the one to cause a loved one at your family reunion to get sick. If you're still deciding on whether or not to take the vaccine, do some real research. And most of all, do what's best for you and your family. Take the politics out of it. And like everything on our show, think about it with an open mind.
Hey, Calvin here, host of the Straight Up Show podcast, and guess what? We're back, bigger and better than ever, with new guests, new straight up topics, and a new way to support the Straight Up Show podcast. That's right, you can now support our podcast by becoming a Patreon patron. Straight Up has 4 different tiers that you can choose from, with each tier having their own perks. Your monthly donation helps us produce efficient Straight Up content that you love so much. For more details, visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/Straight Up Show Podcast 318. That's patreon.com/Straight Up Show Podcast 318.
All right, welcome back to the Straight Up Show podcast. Happy Black History Month to everyone out there. This is our Black History Month episode, and I am so happy to learn about all things Black history that happened throughout America and the world with you. Right now, we're broadcasting live right now on Facebook Live. So if you're watching this on Facebook Live, please tell us who are some of your favorite Black historians or somebody that inspires you currently in Black history. Also, and tell us, what does Black history mean to you? So with that being said, we've been having conversations about what we think is Black history. We kind of talk about where it all started. Gerald Ford actually made sure that Black History Month was recognized in America all throughout the country back in the 1970s. So we want to thank you all who have paved the way for Black history, for us to be here, to have the freedoms and things that we have right now. Some of the names that you might know about is Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Definitely Barack Obama, but there's so many people besides the I guess the more popular ones that have paved the way for Black history. So before we go further in our episode, let's talk about some items in America, everyday culture that you probably wouldn't know happen and even about somebody of a Black race. So one thing is the like golf T-shirts. That was invented by Dr. George Grant. The ice cream scooper by Alfred L. Creel. And I might be butchering these names, so I'm not really good at pronunciation. But the lawnmower was invented by John Albert Burr, fully made over the lawnmower, bringing a better traction, rotator blades, and allowed cutting closer to buildings. The modern day toilet was made by Thomas Elkins. Your bathroom, it wouldn't be as comfortable without him. Thomas W. Stewart created the mop. The reversible baby stroller was William Richardson created the first baby stroller with independent wheels. Okay, so apparently I'm not how true this is, but the first ever drag queen was William Dorsey Swann as one of the first drag queens in the U.S. history, apparently. I'm not sure how true it is, but one of my favorite drag queens is Sylvester. Love his music. Let me see what else. The biscuit cutter was A.P. Ashbourne. What else? Just a bunch of stuff. The stainless steel pads, Alfred Benjamin. I can't. So a lot of trying to skip. The horseshoe was by Oscar E. Brown. Street sweepers were by. I skipped that one. By C.B. Brooks. There is a lot of stuff I'm looking right now. Wow. The printing press was W.A. Lavalette. I butchered that name probably. Does any of these stand out for y'all at all? Oh, the hairbrush was by Lydia Newman. Madam C.J. Walker, the perm, which that I know for sure. I don't know why I know that, but I know that she made the perm. That's all I know about Madam C.J. Walker. I'm pretty sure she's done a lot more than that, but definitely Madam C.J. Walker. But the cellular phone by Henry Sampson, your cell phone. Wow. And let me see. There's a lot. The doorknob and door stop was by O. Dorsey.
A lot of Dorseys.
Yeah.
I did verify. Yeah, that William Dorsey Swann. Yeah, he was the
first drag queen.
Drag queen.
So this is a big one for me because I hate being hot in summer. The AC unit was created by Frederick M. Jones for the air conditioning. So the AC unit didn't even know it. Also, I knew it, but I didn't know the name of the person that did it. Wow. So telephone transmitter was made by Granville T. Woods in the telephone system. Wow. Okay, so this is going to be the Granville T. Woods section because he made the telephone transmitter, the electric cut-off switch, the relay instrument, telephone system, the electric make break, the Galvanic battery, the roller coaster, the auto air brake. Wow. Shout out to Granville T. Woods.
Yeah, you're welcome, people. You're welcome.
But
all these convenient things. You're welcome.
The pacemaker was Otis Boykin.
That was the one, yeah.
And Lee, you said who made the video game cartridge? Who was that? Did you find out?
Yeah, the inventor of the first video game cartridge was a guy named Jerry Lawson.
Jerry Lawson, video game maker. Wow, cartridge. Wow. So that goes to show you that Black history is well respected, should be well respected in all of everyday media because our Black history is so poignant in our country, right?
Yeah,
so
you're welcome. You're welcome.
So which one of these events is kind of stand out for y'all?
Any
Say
of
that
us?
again?
Yeah.
Which one of these inventions stand out to y'all, Christina?
Which one stands out the most? I will go with the video game cartridge thing. Like, because of course I know about the sciences and those, and of course, Madam C.J. Walker, she's very important to my kind. Um, but yeah, when I find out little things about that one, because I knew about the stoplights and everything, but I was like, man, how could you possibly be? How could you be racist? I was like, everybody loves video games.
Right.
Look what you made possible. Look what was possible. If you knew this, would your family have been like, you won't get it? That you'd have been miserable. It would have changed racism. Had more people known right away. People like, oh, my racism means I can't play video games.
Yeah, I just feel
granddaddy, but I gotta get this.
yeah, and
GoldenEye just came out.
I just feel like a lot of these inventions, it goes to show you that other races need us just as much as we need them. You know what I mean? And like, cause you just imagine like us. Let's not even talk about music, man. You love Elvis. Elvis is a mockery of somebody else. Like, and here's the one's gonna piss a lot of people off. Who likes Friends? The TV show Friends. That wasn't original. What show was that, Christina?
Living Single.
Living Single.
And
So
they actually confessed to that one a few years ago that they literally made Friends to make it a white Living Single, because in Living Single was doing so well. They were like, let's do this, but with white people.
yeah, so
I somehow did not know that. And the Living Single theme song lives rent free in my head 24/7. Like, I could barely tell you the character's name of that show, but I love that theme song so much. Latifah did not have to go off that much, but she did.
Blue, which I like blue. Yeah.
Later on, after we end the show, I'm gonna send y'all the original cut for the original theme for that show, and then you're gonna probably be ruined for the rest of your life. It was horrible. Yeah, she had to go off because the original theme song was hard. It was horrible. It was called something else besides Living Single, but
really?
Yeah, it was something else. But like, yeah, they went off. She went off on that song. Thank God, because it was just. And I know this is really random, but Lee, I love the background in your room.
Oh, thank you.
Like, it caught my eye for a few minutes earlier.
It's all part of my X-Men versus Street Fighter aesthetic I got going.
Sorry, my bad. Sorry, I'm not going on a tangent. But no, it goes to show you that that Black culture has really inspired America. And I think we've helped shape America, and because it's the fact that we are fighters. And I'm one of those people that say that Black people don't have an identity, but because I feel like that's a big problem in America, I think, in my opinion, but that we don't have a true identity. But I think that we're fighters and we're innovators. You know what I mean? Like, because even when it comes to music, like, Jackie Wilson and Elvis Presley, we reinvented that. And then rock and roll, we reinvented that. And it's like hip hop. And like, we are a race of people who are innovators. And I think that's why people love to I guess mock us and imitate us and take us for their own thing. But I believe the playing field is becoming more equal as you see it, whether it be the first African American president, now vice president. Like, we're continuing to make history in this country, and we're here to stay. So we're celebrating all things Black history, and we don't want to do this just in February. We want to do it 365. Shout out to McDonald's, man. Who was it? Roarwood Jr. who was like, he was like, McDonald's loves telling you they do things in the Black community. Like, McDonald's. Calvin got a job. Did you know that McDonald's sends Black kids to school? Like, just McDonald's. And I feel bad because that commercial about Calvin, I'm like, man, Calvin got it. Like, sorry. But no, man, we definitely love the Black community, and we want to celebrate 365. So with that being said, we want to talk about some of the. I gave all the gang here, our co-hosts and hosts, assignments for this project that we're doing today. We're going to give y'all who inspires us in Black history. So mine is about culture. I got two people. Mine is definitely my favorite voice actor. You may know him as the dad off of ATL, or if you watch some Tyler Perry's Greenleaf. But I first met Keith David as a kid in a cartoon as a gargoyle. So if you didn't know, if you watched the TV show on Disney or Fox, it was Gargoyles. The person that plays Goliath is Keith David. And you've heard his voice before and so many things, but just to hear him do voice acting, that kind of inspired me to get into voice acting and kind of, do my voice like deep and know how it is. And to see him on screen as well, to be the actor that he is, I was just like, wow. And so Keith David is definitely one of my favorite. And he has a prestige look. He played in Princess and the Frog too. So like he's definitely been one of my favorite voice actors and actors that I really look up to. So Keith David, thank you so much for being an inspiration of Black history, not only in Black, because he does a lot for the Black community as well, but also in Black cinema, because you inspired me to do something with my voice and actually try to make a living off of it. Next up that I have is this is my favorite person that I look up to. He's a musician, but it's more than music with him. It's more about art and lyrics. And my favorite lyricist in American history is Andre 3000. One of my favorite. It's just something that makes me inspired by him. And it's just the way that, because I studied poetry and journalism, and the way he did the poems and his lyrics, it's not a regular rap song. It's more of poetry. And I want to give y'all an example of one of his songs that he did. It was called 16. It was called with Rick Ross. And one thing that stood out to me the most was one of his lyrics. He was just like, and I'm gonna I'm gonna rap this for y'all. But this is just kind of what he did. So the song's about 16. He said that it was the summer of 88, or was it 89, or was it wintertime? Oh, never mind. I'm in my room, booming, drawing LL Cool J album covers with good Crayolas on construction paper. Like, and it just kind of, that shows you so much what he's saying in that song, and it's putting you in that image of what he's doing right now. And so, it just really makes me feel like that he's one of my favorite lyricists, and I call him a poet. And right now he's maybe a little deranged right now, but he's living his life. He's doing what he wants to do, and he goes around playing a flute. And I love that freedom and just to come back and do his thing. But he's one of my favorite inspirations, So that's who that inspires me, Keith David and Andre 3000. So Lee, you're up next. Who's your inspiration?
Man, I don't know if they caught my face when you actually said that yours was Keith David, because I wasn't expecting that, and that's a person I love so freaking much.
Right.
Like you said, freaking Gargoyles. Like, dude pops up in like Rick and Morty every other week. Like, he's an icon. I love him. Speaking of animation and icons, mine is also from the world of cartoons and more specifically comic books. That would be Dwayne Mcduffie. He was a writer for a bunch of comics and eventually cartoons in the 90s, well into the early 2000s. I've got my facts here in front of me. I'm kind of reading them off. He's got his start at Marvel Comics, where he co-created the book Damage Control, which, if you remember, they were a group of people in Spider-Man Homecoming that like would clean up messes that made like supervillains made. He co-created them, but later at Marvel, he got kind of disillusioned with the comic book industry, in particular how it treats its Black creators. So he teamed up with a bunch of other Black creators to create Milestone Comics, which got a production deal with DC Comics. Milestone, their famous characters were like Icon, Rocket, and the biggest who you probably recognize would be Static. The character Static, he was able to take and create a cartoon show called Static Shock based around the character. Like, that's, freaking our childhoods. Uh,
I
from
love
Static Shock,
Static.
yeah, man. From Static Shock, he went on to produce and write for shows like Teen Titans, Justice League, Ben 10. And like I feel like right as his career was like reaching his highs, sadly he passed away at the age of 49 in 2011.
Man.
But for what he, I mean, just like what he started was so important because there weren't a lot of black voices in the comic book industry at the time. I mean, even in the early to late 90s. And he recognized that all these characters, these black characters that do exist, they were created by white people, like, well, meaning white people, mind you, but still white people. So their voices weren't exactly black voices that you were hearing. And he wanted to remedy that, so he was like, screw it, we'll create our own universe and like heighten our own voices and talent. And that, like, weirdly, as a queer person, that taught me a lot about the kind of stuff I want to make and how I want to represent my own community. And in addition to being this like big black voice and building basically an empire now, because I mean, friggin' Static is a household name, he was also like one of the earliest people to put a queer character in a comic book. Like in the 90s, Static's best friend Richie came out of the closet, and like you probably remember him from the TV show.
Right.
It didn't happen then because Kids WB was probably like, nah, we're not doing that yet. You got about 10 more years before we're gonna put that on TV. But in the comics, it was like, oh my God, this is actually happening. And it was one of the most like honest portrayals too, because his best friend comes out of the closet, and Static, being a really crappy teenager, is more concerned with well, now people are going to think I'm gay, so I can't hang out with you anymore. And there was a whole arc of them having to reconcile that and become friends again, because like I said, teenagers are crappy to each other. And that's the kind of thing that actually happens when you come out to somebody. And Dwayne Mcduffie understood that and was putting it on a page in friggin' 1996 or whatever. And yeah, that's why he's my pick, and he'll always be an inspiration for me.
So I did not know all this. Wow. It's a lot to learn. And you're right, man. Static Shock is definitely it's like a cult following almost,
Yeah.
because he was that superhero. He wasn't like Black Vulcan and the other typical stereotypical Black Electric guy.
Exactly. That's I think he was trying to actively fight against that trope.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But he definitely, the way, if you go back and watch Static Shock, it's so urban and it's so us, and that's why people, I guess, connect to it, because it's so us, and definitely Dwayne Mcduffie, rest in peace. Thank you for your contributions to the Black culture and Black community and the world of Black history and comic books too. So thank you so much, Lee, for giving us, you get an A+, sir. But no, so we want to hear more from you. So let's toss it to y'all. What is some of your favorite Black history people?
Hi. When I was younger, Black history was only taught 1 week. Now we have the shortest month of the year, February. But yet we have it. And I'm thankful for it, because history should be taught in its entirety. I would like to emphasize my inspirations. Number one, Sojourner Truth. Just like Harriet Tubman, they both helped they were former slaves, and they also led former slaves to their freedom. Sojourner Truth is also known as, famous for the speech, "Ain't I a Woman?" She fought for civil rights and women's rights. Marian Anderson, I like her because of her stance that she took when the Daughters of the American Revolution would not let her perform. She sang in front of the Lincoln Memorial and was also became the first Black woman to sing in the White House and perform with the New York Metropolitan Opera. I like also Coretta Scott, because she showed that life goes on even after the death of her husband. She's the main reason that we celebrate at the federal holiday of MLK. Shirley Chisholm was the first woman that introduced me to politics, because she was the first woman that I saw that ran for president in 1972. I also like to honor Clementine Hunter, a Louisianan who was known for her folk art. Thank you.
What's going on, Straight Up Nation? I hope each and every one of you are having an incredible Black History Month. Now, just like Calvin, I too am a huge wrestling fan. So it goes without saying that I want to put a spotlight on Mark Henry, Kofi Kingston, and Bobby Lashley. These are 3 professional wrestlers of 3 different generations who have all put in major work. And I want to spotlight them not for the obvious reasons. Yes, they were entertaining. Yes, they were incredible athletes, but it's their story. Their story is so captivating and, most importantly, so relatable, because all 3 of these competitors, it took nearly a decade, or actually a decade, to reach their first world title. We all know that feeling of working for a company and you're giving your all, and it feels like you just haven't reached that pinnacle yet, or that you're getting passed up, right? But these 3 showed that through perseverance, through focus, and just staying on your square, no matter what obstacle comes your way, that you can make it to that pinnacle. You can make it to that summit. So I just want to give you guys your flowers. You all are amazing. Thank you for entertaining me throughout the years. And yeah, man. Yeah. Salute to you 3 brothers.
All right, thank you all so much for telling us who are some of your favorite, most influential people in Black culture and Black history. We're going to have more about Black History Month and celebrating everything Black history on the other side of the break. This is Straight Up Show Podcast. Stay tuned.
Straight up, we know that all lives matter, but historical events have shown that there is an inverse power dynamic between the races in our country. To highlight this, we present our Black Lives Matter merchandise. Because let's be real, some of you don't seem to understand that this isn't the organization, but a message. That message: end inequality towards minorities in America. And just in case that's too complicated for you in English, we have the phrase translated into 10 different languages. Visit straightupshowpodcast.com for this and all our other merch. That's STR8 showpodcast.com. Shirts as low as $19.99.
I'm Sultan Salahuddin from Southside 62 out right now. Make sure you tune in to the Straight Up Show podcast, because that's where it's happening. You dig?
All right, welcome back to the Straight Up Show podcast. This is our Black History episode, celebrating our contributions to Black culture into the world and in America. This is our Black History Month. So happy Black History Month to all you all who are listening right now. Make sure you go out and learn some more, or give the community service to somebody. This sounds messed up and crazy, but back when the whole George Floyd thing was going on, and like so many people in Clubhouse was like, they had like these different rooms and stuff. Like, we got to do more for the Black culture. And I went on stage, and they have stages in the Clubhouse, and I would go to these all white rooms, and I would tell them like the importance of Black history and Black culture and stuff like that. And on Clubhouse, you have your Cash App listed on your page. Man, I made about $150 that night because they just out of guilt, So I'm not saying for Black History Month you have to feel guilty, but our Cash App, the Straight Up Show Podcast 318. I'm just kidding, but no, I'm just messing. But no, that was like the weirdest thing I've ever had to happen to me. All I want to do is just talk about like the importance of the Black culture, but these people felt so guilty for some reason. And my Cash App is ding 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 ding. Like oh, okay, cool, all right, but sadly enough, that fight to just press on and learn more has died down. So we want to make sure we fuel it back up, not just this month, but also year round. So it's not just when another Black man dies at the hands of police or something like that. We want to celebrate our community because we're not a monolith. We deserve to be here, and I think that our culture is so unique that so many people have to mimic it. But as we showed already, that without us and our inventions and our contribution to this country would not be where it's at. So with that being said, Brandon, tell us somebody who that inspires you in this Black History Month.
So I didn't know we was doing people that inspired us, because then so I didn't do that.
That was totally the assignment.
I know.
F.
This is why
Brandon.
I don't do school. I'm never going back. Why I'm it's not happening. But I'm glad we're doing this, and because it did force me to find somebody, and I went through a list. Apparently, Oprah has this list of people she felt like people should know, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go through it, and I found two people. One was a little girl, Louisiana girl. She was the first one to go to a segregated school. Wasn't gonna go that because didn't feel like talking about Louisiana. So I went with Henrietta Lacks, and I thought this woman was a great person to talk about right now in this time period. So for those who don't know, like I didn't, so I was very happy to learn about her. She was born August 1st, 1920 in Virginia, but she passed October 4th, 1951. So Henrietta Lacks, a young African American woman, was diagnosed with cervical tumor cancer. She went to the Johns Hopkins Hospital, which at the time was pretty much the only hospital that would take Black people and would work on that type of treatment. But what makes her story so great is, well, depending on who you talk to, great is that during the procedure, the operation, they actually cut a piece of her cancer and gave it to their lab, a person in their lab called George I, who at the time dealt with tissue culture. Tissue culture is when they gathered people's cells, and they basically, it's like a farm of people cells, and you have a cancer cells, and they send out to people all over the world to kind of help figure out, how to cure diseases, help build vaccines, just how science, it's a very science tool to help progress us through the world. Well, they took it without her permission. They took her cells without her permission. So here we are again. We got something from a Black woman that became a tool that, for one, helped learn how HIV and also HIV and tuberculosis and other her cells. First of all, the reason why her cells were so great is because they duplicated in 24 hours. Cells die after a while, but her cancer cells multiplied at a rate to where they never died. That's why they were so great.
They're
And it
still
was called,
using
the HeLa
they're
cells.
still
HeLa
going.
cells. Yes, still going. Costs, I believe, like $4,000. I don't know. Look it up. I want you to do that anyway. I think even Oprah did a movie, and there's tons of books on it, because that's how important this crap went. Because once again, the big important thing is they took her cells without permission. Of course, this is where the craziness comes into play. When Guy released this to the public, her name was nowhere on that news. So here we are, white scientists. I have this amazing thing, even though he got it from a black woman, that was not mentioned. The only time it was mentioned is when I guess some scientist that was using her cells, something went wrong, and there's like, then the news was like, of course it went wrong. It came from this Henrietta Lacks person. It was a cell from a black woman. Of course something went wrong. Well, when everything was all good, they kept mispronouncing her name as Helen, and some other names. So just Helen L, Helen Larson. That was her name. Know her name. But now the family. Matter of fact, I have a year for you. I believe it was 19. I thought I had a year for it, but sooner or later that changed. So when they had to give the sale the uh, basically the deep parts of the sales of how her eye color was, what her eye color was, her hair, everything else, they had to release that to the public. So it was up to the scientists to say, hey, do we want the family to be a part of this? Because basically their public records is going to be all over the world. They went to the family, and the family said, yes, we want to know what you're doing with our family sales, because that is who we are. What's so great about that right now, really, and I couldn't get too much into it because everybody else was short. But what's so great about this one, this figure, this woman, is because the black community often, like me, I just don't like hospitals, but we often don't like hospitals or don't like to get tested on because of past history. And this is not to get people to get COVID vaccines. This isn't one of those things where I'm saying go get your vaccines. But the family, the reason why they wanted to actually sit and work with these people is because they wanted to be part of the table. Often black people have a issue with third party hear and they say. And I talked to a woman, which really made me want to be part of the podcast. We have to get to a point to where, do you want to be plugged in, or do you want to be connected with information? How are you getting your information? There's a ton of us that are in biolabs, doctors. Talk to your community, your people, to get the truth. So when things happen, we know what's true or not. If it wasn't for them saying, yes, I want to be at the part of the table, they could have easily got money. But instead, they say, I want to be able to make decisions on what y'all do with these sales going forward, so they can control how they treat that. So I thought this was very relevant about like what's happening right now, because we have I know a lot of nurses, a lot of people. So when things go around, I talk to them. I don't go to Facebook. I talk to them like, hey, what's going on in their lab? I'm seeing a lot of people get sick. How many people you dealing with? Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm going straight to the source. I ain't going to Facebook, Instagram, and none of these sites though.
And it's crazy. And it's crazy because like that's everybody's resource now. It's like, oh, if I didn't see it on Facebook, and you know how I feel about local wannabe news reporters. You know what I mean? And spreading our information, and people flock to that false information. So thank you, Brandon, so much for that. We need to hear about that. Christina, Brandon, you get an A+. I forgive you. You get an A+.
Cool.
Okay.
I
Christina,
can talk about that for days too.
I figure you would. That's why when I saw it, because I didn't think
I thought about talking about her, but I was like,
when I saw you was actually going to be on show, I was like, I didn't know Christina was going to be here. She might actually take this one from me.
Well, good, you went first, but
yeah. So Christina, let's see if you can earn an A, and tell us if you can give us somebody that inspires you this Black History Month.
I have an answer. I have a light answer, and I have a heavier answer, as I usually will.
Yeah, we're here for it.
So I'll start with my light one, just because this one's cool to me, and I've met this person only once, but I've watched this person grow a lot, and she's a musician right now who she's a black young black woman who also was in Korea when I was in Korea. She lived there for a few years, and she was there finishing up her degree to be a rocket scientist. Like she's a real deal rocket scientist who just stopped doing that career. She's no longer an like an engineer, to make music. And there's so many other things that she was involved into, and she's 28 now, maybe 29. I'm just above her, but her name's Rakaya, and she speaks Korean fluently. Of course, she taught herself Korean, and while she was going to school to be this rocket scientist, and now she's a musician who also can sing in Korean, has released music in Korean. But she's writing for Korean celebrities and everything. So it's just really amazing to have watched her do these things from just studying in Korea. And I found her when I was trying to learn it as well, and it was amazing. So that's really interesting and inspiring to see, because it's someone who in real time you get to acknowledge in this day and age, saying, I'm going to do whatever interests me. Like, there is no cap to it. I don't have to make this type of music. I don't have to prove anything academically or whatever. She's like, I'm dead ass a rocket scientist. I am an engineer, and I can make this music, and I can do whatever I want. She's like, I can write music for a Korean man, woman. I can make a rap song for whoever in LA. I can write. I can do whatever I need. It's an unstoppable force thing. And I've watched her also inspire and be surrounded by inspiring Black women and men who are doing similar things, or things that you're just like, you are going where? Like, you just graduated with this degree and now you're going back to MIT for something totally different. You never got a job in that degree. It's amazing to see young people, older people, but young people in general still have that unstoppable mentality, when right now people are finding respectable but still like the shortcut ways to make careers of themselves. Everyone's like, I'm going to provide for myself this way. I'm going to make my hobby into my career, or my side hustle becomes my main figure. There's nothing wrong with those are amazing too, because that takes a lot of work. Insane amount of work. But it's amazing to see people who are still like, I'm going to be a doctor. I think I'm going to be a lawyer. No, I think I'm going to be an astronaut. And they do it in one lifetime. You're like, I can't make it through school. Like, what degree? How are you doing these things? So I am amazed by those things. But I love Rakaya. Find her online. She's amazing. Her work looks amazing too. She does the coolest, like, sciencey fiction, fantasy vibes and stuff. She's amazing. Find her.
Yes,
You
yes.
enjoy her.
Send me her link.
I'll have to. Rakaya's amazing. But heavier answer is, I hated when you were like, hey, find someone who inspires you. And I was like, that's going to bother me, because I am also a person who, especially with Black people, I find anyone who has done something or attempted to do something or lived a life to be inspiring in some way. Just like you had someone who inspired you, and Lee had someone who inspired him in very specific ways. I was like, that's amazing in general. Like, you love that this person did something that could teach or touch someone in a way. And I was like, there's just too many people out there for me to be like, oh, I want to narrow it down to a couple. And I understand why I have to narrow it down, but there's something that you can learn from literally everyone. You found someone who made you feel inspired by finding a way to use their voice to make something of themselves. And I was like, that's amazing, because there are people out there who are like, I have this unique voice and I never knew I could make something of it. And you find out people are voice actors, but then when you specifically find a Black person who might have even had a similar upbringing to you, it makes you feel like it's more reachable. So I feel like everyone, teachers, doctors for sure, lawyers, musicians, models, whatever you want to consider it to be, I think everyone should strive to be as good of a person or inspirational as they can be for everyone in general, because you never know who you're going to develop in that type of way, so reach out for it. If you want to write, you will find a Black writer and you will be inspired by that person, you in different things. So I just had to be like, I had to be that person who is like, there's just, look around, everybody. It could be your mom, your dad, your neighbor, whoever, but somebody's done something amazing that will inspire you. So if I had to pick another heavier answer, it would be every former, every Black soldier in the major wars, because those were people who fought with a dream in mind, and they had a lot of things that they were carrying. They were fighting three wars actually, war on America, war on rights, and then war on Blackness. And to go out and fight with the hope that, you could trust your fellow soldier, and then that things would be better for you on the other end. You're fighting for freedom and you're fighting for respect, two forms of freedom at that. They get my utmost respect, and then they inspire me the most, because that is hope right there. That is something that I just, it blows my mind every time I think about them, because you couldn't pay people to do what they did right now. So they're my biggest inspiration when I'm like, okay, you got to do something. You got to do something, because they did too much to not do anything. So that's my heavy answer. Just alone, like, I got to do something because they did too much. So
I was gonna give you a B because you cussed and I gotta edit this stuff. So,
my
and
bad.
I was gonna give you a B because that's the word you said, the B word. But no, as always, you get an A plus, because what you said was very inspirational. It's very deep. I never would think that you, especially with you being a veteran yourself, like the wars that they had to fight and to come back home. Was it Dead President? I think it's the movie Dead Presidents. That was the movie about Dead Presidents with Lorenz
I
Tate.
never actually watched Dead President.
I think it was about a soldier fighting the war in Vietnam, had to come back home and experience what he had to experience. And it was just, which was one of the reasons why Muhammad Ali didn't want to go to the Vietnam or the war, because, we fight our own war at home. So it's glad that you said that. And I want to thank not only just our Black soldiers, but the soldiers that are current, because we're going through times right now, but dealing with those people who fought for our freedom to be here, and all those in Black history who paved the way from. And I say that I didn't want to talk about traditional figureheads, but they really were the forefront to inspire those. And there's so many heroes out there right now whose names we probably won't ever hear about. But their sacrifices are the ways that we can do shows like this. And I always say that I love my grandma because, she lived during a time to where she was actually picking cotton, to where she couldn't vote as a woman and a Black woman, as a Black person. So, but to live long enough to see the Black president, so just to be in that time. We talked about Betty White. Like, could you imagine like the people who live in 100 years, what they saw? It's crazy. And y'all have to keep in mind, America is only 250 years old. You know what I mean? And so just to live 100 years of that, and so I really think that the next 100 years that we're slowly turning the curve, I think. I just hope that the next 250 years can be much brighter, and that from what our Constitution says, we actually cannot make it hypocritical, because right now it is. And we want equal rights for everybody. And I think this is my soapbox about Black history. I think that Black history is just celebrating what we are, what we've become, and what we contributed. And it's like, you know what? We don't need a month. We do this daily. We contribute daily. All we ask for is a seat at the table. and that's all any Black person can ever want is a seat at the table. Like, hey, maybe I want to be a doctor. Maybe I want this. Because some people are not as inspired and motivated to do these things because they're being told they can't. So we're going to toss it to some of our friends right now, some more of our friends to tell us who they are inspired by in Black history.
Boy, the person that comes to mind first and foremost is Colin Powell for me. I'm a veteran, and for me to be able to see him as he rose through the ranks and became the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and also then became the Secretary of State, he stands out for me. I basically lived this time right here with him. And also, what does Black history mean to me? It means educating ourselves and realizing our value. So every day is Black history for me, is the ability to be able to understand and learn more about our individuality, our uniqueness. It's a very personal thing and something that hopefully we can all use 365 days a year.
Well done to my people in the Straight Up podcast and to Calvin. Thank you for reaching out and asking me to talk about the Black History Month and what it means to me. Yeah, Black History, means to me a month to show appreciation, to acknowledge the Blackness and its uniqueness, and of all those African Americans that gave hope to their posterity and a lifelong lesson that could be used in our today's society. It doesn't just mean the bad times that they had to go through, to accomplish what they have done, but it means to me, the integrity, their leadership, and their determination. Without these key three things, they wouldn't have been able to succeed in their struggle. So this is what it means to me, and I've always tried to learn and to improve, based on their integrity, their leadership, and their determination to win. Okay, so and then to me, so many Black people have inspired me. Many of them have shown me what it means to be great leaders. Okay, so one of them is Barack Obama, the former president of the United States of America. Okay, yeah, he has taught me that if you believe, you would achieve whatever thing you set your mind in. The same thing goes also to President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, also a former president of Nigeria, my country. Okay, he has also taught me that if you also believe, you'll achieve that. You can start from zero, okay, and get to the top. That you don't really need to cut corners to achieve what you want to achieve. Just like the great ancestors of the African Americans, they really put in their all to be able to achieve all they have achieved for their posterity and for the freedom of the Black race. Black is beautiful, Black is original, Black is unique. Then for my brothers in the diaspora, the African Americans, okay, in Africa here, life is good, okay. You can also come visit Africa and learn so much about your ancestors. Funny enough, many of you think that we live in forests or in trees. Okay, so we don't live on trees, we don't live on the trees, okay? So we don't live in the forest. Yeah, we have enough water. I think recently something trended that when they were saying that they were sending water to Africa. Please, that is a wrong narrative. That is a wrong perspective. Okay, so Africa also, despite their challenges, okay, is doing so well. Not everyone in Africa is poor. Not everyone in Africa is hungry, okay? So just like you have them everywhere in the world, it is still the same way in Africa.
All right, thank y'all so much for coming on the show today and recording those responses. This is Black history is so much to us, y'all, and it means a lot to me because it makes me happy to know that our people are being celebrated. And I think it was on Atlanta, Childish Gambino was like, the guy was like, go back to Africa. Because I can't go back to Africa, dude, because I'm broke. And I think my friend we had a debate about this, about Luis. He was saying that the Black culture, it's so easy for us Hispanics to go back to El Salvador or to Mexico because it's just right across the border, but if we feel that we're not being cultured enough, but African Americans don't have that ability to go back to the roots because we don't know We don't know who our roots is. Like my last name is Hamilton, point, but like that's not my real organic last name because it's not my real lineage. But so I can't go back. I say people get mad about like certain things in America. I'm mad because I'll die not knowing my real last name. That's why Malcolm X put an X because it's not his real last name. But I'm not say my last name is Smith or O'Hare. That's not my last name, and not my history. So that's part of the history that I would love to find out what is my real last name. And for those who don't know what that means is that when our ancestors were slaves, they were given their house master's last name. And so that would carried on from generation to generation. So that's one of my biggest issues with our history is that some of us would never know our real last names, and we can't go back as far as however it goes to trace our family tree because we don't know where we come from. And I think that the more that we evolve in this country, we're learning to find our identity. And I think that we do as a society go through identity crisis as a race, but I really think that the Black American is a race that's innovative. And that everybody we're cool. Like I think being Black is cool. Like there's some people who are ashamed of being Black. I'm not. I'm like, man, I'm cool. Like, but we're not all the same. Because I can't dance at all. I can't dance. Like, once I like chicken though, and that's a stereotype. But I'm I'm just kidding. But no, but like we're not what you see on TV, but we're so much more. And the fact that there's some people out there saying that we shouldn't be here, we don't want to associate with you. You're beneath us. It's like if you put us on an equal playing field right now, and you taught us how to learn the ways that we do, we can thrive. Because I'm pretty sure, kudos to my mom, I love you, and my dad, because to see them make sure we were fed for $40 a week, like on groceries and $40, that's a miracle. And I can only imagine how it was to be a slave, like just eating scraps and surviving until the next day. So I think our people were strong, resilient, and we deserve to be celebrated outside of February. We get 28, 29 days. That's not enough. Like, but we're not just saying that we want Black everything. Trust me. We just want a seat at the table. Like, because you gave us scraps and we make a meal out of it. But we want more than scraps. We want to sit at the table so we can feast and dine with the kings and queens, because we are kings and queens. And if you're listening right now, we want you to join the conversation. Join us. Talk about us. Let us know who are some of your favorite figureheads and who inspires you. Don't let the politics divide you, divide us, or don't let the hate take over, because we don't want to hate. When we have that love brings us all together, and then we can actually turn to be a great country that we already are. Not great again. We're great, but we're greater together. So no more division. Try to be better. I love you all. We love you all. And what you want to join us. That's the end of our show. Happy Black History Month, everybody. Brandon, Lee, happy Black History Month, y'all.
So, Calvin, just to add to what you said, to help make sure you get that done, find somebody in your industry that was Black and has done something to help what you do. I'm quite sure there's somebody. If you're a writer, teacher, welder, I really don't know what you do. And at this point, that's irrelevant. But this is where you need to dive in. One of my regrets is we have lost some Black figures recently, and I didn't know nothing about them until they passed. Take the time to dive into your industry, find somebody. Use this month as an excuse and Calvin's call to action, and find somebody and learn about them.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon. Thank you so much for that. Lee, happy Black History Month, man.
Same to you, man. Thank you for the opportunity for me to come and talk about one of my heroes.
You are Christina. Happy Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month.
All right. Well, that's the end of our show. I want to thank you all for joining us. Join the conversation. Continue the conversation at our website at www.straightupshowpodcast.com. That's www.str8upshowpodcast.com. You can find one of our exclusive merchandise. I'm going to give it to you for free right now. Use the hashtag, or use the promo code straight up free on our Black Lives Matter t-shirt, translated into 10 different languages. That is a free shirt all month long in February. Of course, you would pay for the shipping and handling, but to us, that's our gift to you for listening today. You can find our other merchandise there. If you want to support our podcast, we do have a Patreon page at patreon.com/Straight Up Show Podcast 318. Patreon.com/Straight Up Show Podcast 318. We have 4 different tiers: 3, 5, 10, 20. Support our podcast, become a member. Until then, there's only one rule to our show. You gotta be
straight up.
Straight up.
You're welcome.
Happy Black History Month, y'all. Y'all have a good one.